Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe from Sage Dragon. I just wanted to take a couple minutes today and talk to you about how can fitness improve your life. Now, I'm a little bit of a storyteller, so I can only tell this from my perspective, right? And hopefully along my journey you can glean something from it. Now, I've been in a gym setting since I was I don't know, probably 14 or 15. Whenever I got access to the auxiliary gym as a freshman in high school, in pertinence to football training and whatnot, and I started getting taught structure and whatnot then. But that was all sports specific. Now what we focus on here at Sage Dragon is a lot more GPP, a lot more like general physical preparedness, a lot more general functionality, big focus on longevity, and being able to do what you need to do throughout your day. Besides being a private fitness studio here at the farm, we also we also run a faux farm. I got a cow. I'm looking to add a couple more cows to it. We got horses. We got chickens. So I have to be able to meet the demands of my farm tasks every morning, free of pain, free of hindrance, etc. And so what got me into this was really, I did a 3-year stint in the military, and I just liked the regimentation and the discipline that came around proactively working and conditioning the body to meet those demands. So like the PT structure, it really helped me create scaffolding for what would eventually become mine and Jamie's formula for success. But how we can actually improve the life, I can give you a little bit of a glimpse, getting back on point here, Joe. So in that little 3-year stint, there's kind of two sides of the coin, right? I learned all this structure, I learned all this discipline, I learned how to get shit done, and we got a lot of shit done, but in getting shit done, I was really broken. When I got home, after just a 3-year contract, I was airborne. So rucking, parachuting, and running were the top 3 things. When I got home, I'm gonna stand sideways for you here. Like my hips, I had no like range of motion through my hips, right? It was stuck. Like it was like I never fully stood up when like I was just short through the hips, and then I was also short through the thoracic. My back was rounded, my shoulders were kind of stuck in like a permanent rucking formation, right? And I was really good at like knee drive, but I was like shit at extension. I had no extension below the hip. And I used to be really, really fragile. I remember I was like, let's see, I got home, I was 24. So from 24 to 26, this is like young man stupid bullshit, but 24 to 26, I was super, super fragile. Those little like, I don't know, little half-inch slips, like somebody just dropped some ice at Walmart or some shit and it melted, and all it was just your heel set of your gait pattern you were walking, and it was just that little heel strike. That little, you don't even go down, you just jerk for like half a second as you slide, or maybe you wear some Crocs and you don't have any fucking grip. But anyways, that used to like set me off, and like I would be down for days, weeks. My low back was so fragile, it was so weak. My shoulders and my back, and this thoracic extension was impossible. I slept like shit. I snored really, really bad. I had such bad snoring. I was still single back then. But I knew that I'd snored the night before because like I would wake up with a sore throat. Like no bueno. And just in doing mobility work and whatnot, when I got into really structuring my life around Pilates, Tai Chi, a little bit Tai Chi Qigong intermixed there because I didn't really like, I kind of ADD. I can't really stick with one thing for a long, long time, unless like I obsess over it. And I didn't really obsess over a lot of the slow moving movement practices. I just had to learn them just to be able to incorporate what I could. But they didn't hold me for very long. But in incorporating those, in forcing myself to do shit like yin yoga, where you hold the pose for like 2 and 3 minutes, things like becoming a supple leopard recommended, and really opening that up. If you haven't seen Dr. Kelly Starrett, check him out. Like, he's a huge influence. The teachings of like Tom Myers in training unilateral slings and shit like that. Just needing to learn that and incorporate that into what we do here at Sage Dragon Fitness. And my early prototype stuff at that beginning of that stuff, I started to notice in myself as my first guinea pig that my low back started to open up. My spine started to be okay. I started to get to a point where I was able to fix my feet. I was able to fix the soles, the arches. I'd gotten flat-footed in the service, just learning to like roll through my foot in the boot. And I'd lost my foot's ability to like grab and like form an arch. So I rehabbed that. And when I did that, all of a sudden, the lower portion of my thoracic extension came back. My overhead mobility started to actually be practical because my core could stabilize itself and allow the upper thoracic to transition and actually do overhead movements. I hadn't realized the whole time I've been in the service in a Humvee unit that... So I used to have to get a machine gun to the hood of the roof of the Humvee to the turret by myself because we were short manned. We only had 17 instead of 24 on our crew. So a lot of trucks we had to set it up ourselves. And I hadn't realized that whole time. It's a 77.4.5 pound weapon system. I hadn't realized that whole time I had basically been like deadlifting, cleaning, and then I would walk into the Humvee and push my hips into the door to work as a brace so that I didn't have to learn how to brace. And then I was just kind of like getting it up there. It wasn't like clean mechanic. It was just like whatever you could to get the 50 cal to finish. And it just wasn't clean mechanics, right? So I didn't realize until I got home and long after, when I started doing strict like behind the neck press and stuff, when I thought my shoulders were open, that I even found that my overhead press was impinged. But once I fixed that, the biggest thing really was the mobility. That was probably the biggest reduction in fragility. And then that lack of fragility encouraged my self-esteem, my ego, my fitness ego, my movement confidence. Because like one thing I will tell you is back when I was fragile, back when this was unstable and didn't work and didn't really hold me, your physiology starts to, translate over into that. And if your hips aren't confident, you won't be confident in some sort of way. In like structural integrity is what I'm kind of getting at. If your structural integrity is off, like it affects your mental well-being. I don't think my serotonin was as proper as it is now, just with proper regulation. I know it wasn't just because if the poor quality of snoring sleep that I was getting, and then you start adding all the other additionary stuff. But anyways, like slips, trips, and falls aren't a concern of mine as a healthy 31-year-old anymore. When I was 26, I was like, oh man, 27's like only looking worse. 27 was actually what forced me. 27 got so bad. That's what forced me to seek out mobility practices and like really unfuck that stuff. Sorry, pardon my language. But the other thing that came from it is just that well-being. Once that structural integrity started to realign with everything, the mental well-being that I experienced, it was tenfold. And then that started to become a I don't know, a snowball of positivity, because then I felt good enough that exercise didn't feel like torture, right? And then it didn't feel like torture, which made me feel better. And then I felt good because I had worked out, that I looked forward to the next time I worked out, right? And then I will say in the beginning, well, not the beginning, in the middle, so it would have been after I reclaimed my mobility, but before I started working at like a really high level. In fact, it was kind of like a lesson I had to go through to get to the high level, ironically. Was in this middle ground. There was kind of a springboard where like I felt so good about doing stuff, I never wanted to take any rest. But that's another video. So I hope this has been helpful on some small ways that just having a general physical preparedness plan, a small fitness action plan, whatever you want to call it, a program, just some practice that you do that gets quality movement in, that gets quality resistance, that gets quality concentric and eccentric movements instead of just isometric movements that we tend to have a lot of tonic action and repetitive action in our day-to-day lives. So as we break that up through movement, there's all sorts of benefits. The other thing too about one ending note that I just kind of thought about, I wanted to make sure that I talked about in improving your life, is it improves our buttress that we have as humans against negative elements, especially with like this coronavirus thing going on right now. It's a good example of that. A nice, robust immune system will help you deal with that party you had too many drinks at once in a while, not like all the time. It'll help you buttress all them fucking baked goods. Sorry, I swore again. I'm gonna have to really, this is going on a more public place. Gotta really clean up my language. Anyways, all them baked goods that you're gonna have on coming out of this, right? Once they open the doors, it's almost summer. It's summertime. Half the summertime's gone. Then it's fall. It's time for baked goods and pies. So, you know, anyways, it'll help you buttress that proactively. So, anyways, I hope it helps, guys. Tag some friends. Share it with some people that you think this will help. Peace.